Hello, everyone. Welcome or welcome back to I See Melanie. Today, we'll be talking about the new series on Netflix called With Love, Meghan. So, we reviewed the trailer of that show about 2 months ago. And back then, we thought it was coming out in mid-January, but it just came out a week and a half ago, beginning of March. In the previous video, I talked about Meghan Markle's reception since she became a part of the royal family and how a lot of people have some very pointed and negative things to say about her, and how I didn't, and I still don't to this day, understand the degree, emphasis on the word degree, of hate that she gets from the general population. And I asked you all to comment, and a lot of you guys did, and you explained very thoroughly why you don't like her. Some things got a little vitriolic, and some things actually got vitriolic towards me, which I thought was a little bit unnecessary, but, we can all state our opinions. We should, keep things nice, but we're all free to say what we want to say. So anyway, I said I was going to look at this show and judge it on its merits and come back and give a review. I mentioned that I'd watch at least one episode of the show, and I have indeed watched episode 1, 2, and 8. And what did I think about With Love, Meghan? I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Is it my favorite show in the world? No. But I don't think any non-scripted show will ever be my favorite anyway. But I really, really enjoyed it. I got a lot out of it, and I'm going to talk about that today. If I were to describe the show in one sentence, I would say it's like a Pinterest board come to life. I am a person who loves Pinterest, and I go through phases where I'm all about Pinterest. I'm looking at different things all the time. First thing I wake up in the morning and the last thing I do before I go to bed. I get really, really, really into Pinterest because if you're not familiar with my channel, when I first started 11 years ago, most of the stuff that I did was DIYs. Little projects I do around my house, and also I did a lot of cooking things. So I really enjoyed that type of content, and so I like to see other people do it, especially if they're on TV. It's going to be at an elevated level compared to me. So I really enjoy shows like that. So what did I like about the show? One thing I particularly liked is that the concepts behind the things that Meghan made were very aspirational. And when I say aspirational, I don't mean like your hopes and dreams aspirational. I mean, hey, maybe I can aspire to make this thing that I've been putting off, or I think I'm not really able to do, or something that you've always had in the back of your mind that you might one day think of doing, but you just kind of never get around to doing it. So say, for example, I think it's the first episode, she has a friend coming into town and she is making him a gift basket with some niceties that he can enjoy during his stay. So she makes something for the bath. I think she put some popcorn in there and a lot of other knickknacks that he can enjoy on his stay. So for me, I like looking at these things because I think it's a good gift giving idea, and it's very personalized. These are things that that the person will physically utilize and they can get use out of it. And I'll be honest, I don't really have friends come and stay over for long stretches of time, but I can never really see myself actually doing this for just a friend visiting. But as a gift to give to somebody, I think it's a really cool idea. And even the basket, they can take that back home if they don't have to take it on the plane. If they're just driving home, they can reuse that and get a lot of additional use from after the stay. I also like the fact that Meghan took things that you might have in a dinner party or a garden party or whatever, and she just kind of elevated it to an extra degree. So say, for example, I really liked when she made the fruit tray that was shaped like a rainbow, especially for a kid's party. I like it as an adult, but as a kid, kids love that. I've got 2 little nieces, and they go to my mom's house and they make pancakes and things like that. And she makes them in the shape of a snowman or a flower or whatever, and they just get such a kick out of it. It's so simple, but little kids love that kind of stuff. So I think little things like that, just to zhuzh things up and make them a bit more visually interesting, is always a great idea. Another thing I liked, I think it was in the last episode where she was preparing a menu and she wrote out a little menu card for each guest, and even the little details of getting that stencil where you can draw in the lines in pencil, write the actual meal components on it and then erase the lines afterwards. that's a little, a little extra flair. If you've got handwriting as nice as hers, my handwriting is not as nice as that. So I probably wouldn't end up doing that, but it's just one of those extra little touches you can put on. So let's take the instance where she made the honey. So this is kind of cool to see. I would personally never do that. Bees freak me out too much, even if I am wearing a full set of gear on. I don't think I would do that, but it is interesting to see the process and even how they use the wax afterwards to make the candles. So I have made candles once. It was back in the day when I was probably 7. I went to a church summer school. This is back when I actually went to church, which says a lot. But we made candles one day, and I thought that was really neat. And, maybe I will do that again because I love candles. I got one right here. And it's just, again, something personal you can do. And if you've got, say, kids around, like I did it when I was a kid, or even as an adult, it'd be kind of a fun little craft, little project you can do on a Sunday afternoon. I liked watching Meghan bake as well. So I like baking, but I really don't do it that often. There is a video on here from maybe 10 years ago where I'm baking French macarons. So I really love making that. And I make lemon tarts and I make different fillings like ganache and curds and so on, buttercream. But I'm not much of a baker, mainly because I only bake if it's a birthday party or a baby shower, a wedding shower or something. So maybe 4 times a year, not very often. And one thing I've never actually baked was a cake from scratch. I've never baked just a plain vanilla cake on my own without the help of Duncan Hines or Betty Crocker. Just kind of crazy that I know to make macarons and I don't know how to bake a basic vanilla cake, but I really like watching her do that as well. And in that entire vein, I really appreciate watching people make things, whether it's baking or assembling a nice gift basket, but people getting all these constituent parts, putting it together to give or to share with a loved one so that they can appreciate it and get the utility out of it. And knowing that you put the thought behind it to make this thing that you believe, because you know this person, that they will appreciate, right? So I just love that element because there are so many different types of gifts we can give people, but a lot of times, and I know for me, the most important gifts I get, and I don't even really need gifts, but if something is thoughtful, I really appreciate the thought behind it, whether it is something you make or somebody buys it, but just knowing that I'm doing this to create something that I know this person will really appreciate. I just love that whole element. And I really appreciated the little elements that she added to just kind of elevate these things that she's put together, because me as a DIYer, I really appreciate that, or I like to think that the things that I've made, if somebody else objectively were to come and look at it, they wouldn't automatically think, oh, she probably made that in her living room a couple of days ago. You know what I mean? Like, you like it to look as though maybe a professional made this, or maybe they bought this from a store or something like that. Those extra little touches just to make things give them that much more oomph. And another thing I really appreciated that she showcased, especially when it comes to the cooking, is that you don't have to be perfect. You're able to take some risks. You're able to, maybe add a little bit more of this spice, a little bit less of this spice. You can do what you want. You can put your stamp on it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be formulaic. I know for me, again, when I cook, especially not baking, because baking's a little different, but when you cook just, savory foods, I very seldom measure anything. I just kind of eyeball it. I'm used to my taste palette and what I like to add, but yeah, you just add what feels right. There's really no way, or there's very few ways to go wrong in these types of things. So yeah, I think a lot of times with people, especially when it comes to cooking, they get daunted by the idea of, oh my goodness, I have to add all these different things, all these different vegetables, all these different spices. And what if I get this wrong? Or what if I run out of this thing? It's like, it doesn't need to be that difficult. Just take a more relaxed approach to it, and you can really create some really tasty meals. But yeah, when it does come to baking, you have to be a bit more precise, especially me in the macarons that I make. I mess up a lot. And the thing is, when I mess up visually, they don't look right, but they taste right. But again, it's a lot about presentation when it comes to making macarons. So you have to be a bit more precise with that. And that just takes time. And again, same kind of premise. Don't be daunted by it. Just take the time, learn your skill, and you'll get it eventually. For me, I really love watching people create things. So whether it is a salad or a cake or a gift basket, or even music I like to watch. So there was a while during the pandemic when I was watching YouTube like crazy. I used to watch videos of people doing bass guitar covers over popular songs because I really appreciate seeing the intricacy of the finger movements and everything that's involved in just playing the bass, right? So I really enjoyed watching it. And I think for me in particular, when it comes to the food stuff, I think that watching the show, The Bear, really kind of heightened my appreciation for cooking and the thought that goes into picking the different vegetables and different meats and all the preparation, all the minute details that go along with it. I really think that has changed my outlook on food in general. So I really, really appreciated what she showed on this show. What I liked about this show is that the things that were presented in it were very accessible to just regular folk like you and me, rich celebrity type people. So obviously, not all of us are going to have a backyard with a vegetable menagerie in it, right? Or even if we probably don't live in a place, I don't live in a place where I can have vegetables growing all day long or all year long. And some of us live in condos like me. Some of us don't even have a balcony or whatever. But these are all things that, we could get at the grocery store relatively easily. And obviously, most of us don't have a room where we can use it exclusively for wrapping gifts or writing menus and stuff like that. Like, I am in my den right now. This is my office. It's my studio. It's also my bike's parking lot, okay? So we don't have all those things that she had on that set, but we can make do, we can improvise. It doesn't have to be exactly like what she's presenting. And even that rainbow platter that I mentioned just a while ago. So I noticed that she used strawberries and raspberries to make the red outside. So generally speaking, at least where I'm situated here in Toronto, at any given time, strawberries are cheaper than raspberries. It might be different. I don't know. Maybe it's different in the summertime, but generally speaking, strawberries are less expensive. So say, for example, if you're looking to, kind of watch the cost, if you want to do this, you might skip the raspberries, just go with the strawberries. And let's take that balloon arch. She had that blower that she mentioned would cost just $20. Well, sometimes $20 can be a lot of money, especially for a thing that you'd probably use maybe once, twice, 3 times a year. And also it could be the situation where it is 10 o'clock at night and you can't go to the store to find one. So we can improvise by just blowing the balloons ourselves. It might take a bit more of your lung capacity to do it. It might be a little strenuous, but we can still do it. Or we can lessen the amount of balloons that we use. But if we really do want to achieve that arch, we can still do it in a way that is attainable for us. Overall, I love the show. Again, it is like my Pinterest board come to life. I like the sets. I like the kitchens. I liked how crisp and vibrant the colors were. I liked some of the editing choices and the visual elements they put on the screen. I thought it was really, really great. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I think I liked it more than I anticipated, quite frankly. Because again, these types of things really speak to me. I know a lot of people might not really be into these types of things. And if you're not into, baking or things you do around the house, then yeah, this might not be the show for you. But if you are somebody who appreciates stuff like that, then I definitely recommend watching this show. So now let's talk about Meghan in this show. So Meghan really seemed to be in her element. She seemed to be really enjoying herself. And in the previous video, in the trailer, I said that maybe next time she should look into going back to just straight up acting. But this is working out pretty well for her, I would say. I know that it's been renewed and that the new season's coming out, I think, later on this year. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that. But things are going well because, Netflix, they love to cancel TV shows. So she's got a second season. Meghan herself has a very calming voice, a calming demeanor. And so I think that works well in a TV show like this. But obviously, there is a lot of criticism for this show. So I saw something just now about some celeb chef making fun of her, some Michelin star celeb chef. It's like, you are a Michelin star chef. She is not. I don't think she's claiming to be. Well, she can't. If she doesn't have a star, she doesn't have a star. So, really, why do you need to get on her for not being as precise as you have to be to have a Michelin star restaurant? Like, come on. Also, I've seen people say, oh, well, I guess she's just a trad wife now. My thing to that is, somebody who spends a woman who spends time in the home, making cakes or cooking food or doing prep for a party. You probably have women in your life, whether it's your mom, your aunt, your grandma, or somebody a family friend who is really into that. There is nothing wrong with choosing to do that, whether it's just for funsies or if you're going to be on TV doing it. It doesn't matter. There is nothing wrong with liking those things. Okay, I think, and I'm not going to go into too much of a tirade, but a lot of times in society, there's so much built-in misogyny that people don't realize that when they make fun of women for liking these like feminine roles, they are downplaying it. They're downgrading the worth. And it's funny because sometimes even like the celebrity chef we're talking about, he's a man. He likes to cook. He likes to cook a lot. And you would never hear someone saying, oh, well, he's just a trad husband or a trad man or whatever. No, like he's a guy who likes to cook and very good for him, right? So yeah, so don't hate on her. And again, this is a business, guys. She's making money off of this. She enjoys it, it's always nice to enjoy what you get paid to do. But she is getting paid for it, so keep that in mind, okay? And also, yeah, don't disrespect your aunties or your grandma or your friend who likes to do this type of stuff. I even saw somebody on Twitter nitpicking the manner in which she was zesting a lemon. Because he showed the shot and she looked a little frantic-ish. Like, not frantic, but she was just zesting a lemon. And like, who cares? Who cares what you look like when you're zesting a lemon? The most important thing is that you're zesting it properly. Because let me tell you, I have zested a lot of lemons and limes. And I have over-zested it looking very calm, cool, and collected. And side story, I got pith in the zest. I was making a Thai soup and I put it in the soup, the big pot. It ruined the entire thing. I am not one to throw out food if it doesn't taste 100% because again, like I mentioned, things don't have to be perfect. But sometimes when something really messes up the taste and it tastes disgusting, like you can't do anything about it. So yeah, it's such a silly thing to insult somebody about the manner in which you zest a lemon, seriously. And I've seen more of what we saw 2 months ago. People saying it's tone deaf, people saying it's boring, people saying it's this, people saying it's that. It's like, guys, we all need to eat, no matter how expensive your eggs are in the US. You still need to eat, okay? You might choose a different protein now, but you'll come back to eggs eventually. Maybe you can buy a chicken like the chickens that she had over there, but it's not out of touch to make food because we always need to eat. We might not in this climate, buy those edible flowers to put on our cakes and stuff like that, but if we want to make some eggs or frittata or a quiche, I think she made at one point, like we all have to cook. Also, I saw just today or yesterday, Pamela Anderson has a new show that is coming out that's very similar to this. She's in a kitchen and she's cooking. And there was one point they showed how Meghan was high-fiving her friend and Pamela is also high-fiving her friend. And they're like, oh my gosh, she copied. Like, it is not a copyrighted move. We've all done it to somebody at one point. Also, this genre isn't anything new. Meghan, I don't think she was claiming to be reinventing or inventing the wheel. This has been done time and time again. Martha Stewart obviously is the mother of all of this, but she's not even the mother of this because even before she was popular, there were other people doing this exact type of thing. Very few concepts we see on TV are novel. Nothing is new. Everything is recycled with a little bit of a twist. So that's not even a valid argument. And I even appreciated some of the personal elements that she added to the story. So she was talking about her time in Toronto. She was talking about her as a child and how she ate a lot of fast food. And I saw people even debating her on that because she never claimed that before. I have no idea. She might have said she ate a lot of natural foods at home. She could have. She could have also had a lot of fat. Who knows? Who cares? Who cares? And when she was talking to Minnie Kaling about, raising young kids and also her last name, I would never really knew what Harry's last name was, so I didn't even know it was Sussex. I don't know what I thought his last name was. But yeah, I thought that the kind of more personal touches were neat. I didn't think it was too much of her inserting her life, which I think is a good thing for everybody because we don't need to know her life and she doesn't need to share it with us. So yeah, as I mentioned in the previous video, I've never actually really seen any of her work before. So I wasn't really classifying myself as a fan or a non-fan. But yeah, I like her. I think she's pretty good. I can see, again, clearly she's in her element. She's enjoying this. She's enjoying making these things for herself, her friends, and her family. And what else could you really ask for, right? And so anybody saying, oh, this is so fake, or oh, she's so privileged. If Netflix came to me right now today and said, hey, girl, you want to come to Netflix, make a fraction of what Meghan's making for this to do a show, I'd be there in a heartbeat, okay? A heartbeat. And you'd be there too, right? So don't play. I am going to go back and watch the episodes that I missed. So from 3 to 7. Eventually, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. There's Yellow Jackets, which I'm not really enjoying this year, to be quite frank. And there's White Lotus, and I'm watching something else that I can't recall right now. But yeah, it's a really good show, and I look forward to watching it. And again, whenever it comes out in season 2. I heard Meghan Markle's releasing a podcast about women founders. I'm not going to be listening to that. Like, I'm sure there are a lot of great stories on there, but for a podcast, that's not really my thing. But I'm sure there'll be a crowd for it. It just won't be me. And anyway, I would love to know what you guys all think. Do you guys all still hate her so much? Do you? Again, to me, it's just kind of curious because I can't think of any celebrity that I have so much passion and derision and contempt for other than ones who have either, harmed people or have ended people's lives or have done things that are just wrong, like just morally wrong, right? So is she up to that level, really? Do you have that degree of disdain for these bad people, like actual criminals, the same way you do for Meghan? I don't know. It's just one of those things. Again, she is not my sister. She is not my friend. I don't know her. But I am still just kind of baffled by the degree of hate that she receives. So leave a comment if you feel like doing that to share your thoughts, if you've seen the show, if you plan on seeing the show, whatever the case is. Anyway, that's all for me right now. Thank you again for watching I See Melanie. I'll have a new video up for you soon and have a great day. Bye, everyone.